Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we return to Rule the Waves. It's 1901, we are 6 videos into this series, and in our last video we ended up signing a surprise naval treaty which put some pretty severe restrictions on what we can build. We can no longer build ships with larger than 10-inch main guns or larger than 15,000 tons. Now, the one positive that comes out of this is being a smaller nation and being more underdeveloped than other nations, we are actually better suited to this type of restriction, perhaps, than some other countries. The first thing I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to go ahead in this video. There's a couple of things I want to do. One of the things I want to do is I want to go ahead and build a new battleship class that's based around these restrictions, because this treaty is going to last for 13 years. So given that it's going to last for almost half the game time, although it could get, I believe a war would cancel it and void it out. But because this treaty is going to last for 13 years and potentially longer, treaties can actually get extended. What I'm going to do is I'm going to design a new battleship that takes these restrictions into account and hopefully be able to maximize some of these new technological developments that we've come up with. We've seen some research in armor, surface condensers, range finders, but I'm also going to go ahead and I want to design a new light cruiser as well, mainly because we need to build some more light cruisers right now. The Suma class, I think, is probably a little underpowered. It's a little bit too small, and other countries are starting to catch up and pass us in terms of the light cruiser tonnage. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a new class. No, actually, I lie. I'm going to build a new class of destroyer. We have quite a few destroyers, but we've developed some new technologies that I think will benefit from building a new destroyer. And then in 3 turns, when our dock sizes expand, at that point we'll go ahead and build a new battleship. So I'm not big on destroyer design. I'm not very good at it. So really what I'm going to do is just set it to DD, and then I'm going to go ahead and auto-design the ship. And you can see here it's an Ozeki class destroyer. You can see the specs that are thrown out here: 28 knots, displacement 600 tons, and we actually have a little bit of accommodation space. Now let's take a look. So it says that it has cramped accommodations that'll limit its usefulness. I wonder if we can set this to normal. Well, that's weird. Setting it to cramped actually causes us to have less space. Oh no. So we have 6 tons to spare, which is good. So we've actually designed a much more effective destroyer with some of the new technologies in place. No penalties on rate of fire like our previous class of destroyers had, and it's 600 tons, so it's a little bit bigger. It's 28 knots, so I actually think it's a little bit faster as well. Let me take a look at and see if that's actually the case. Yep, it's a knot faster than our previous destroyers as well. So I'll go ahead and I'll save that design. And then we'll go to the build dialog, and why don't we build... Oh, let's see here. We've got several ships under construction that aren't going to be complete anytime soon. We don't have a ton of spare cash. So we'll go ahead and we'll build, say, 2. That'll hit us with 300,000 per turn. It'll still leave us with 900,000 left over. So we'll go ahead and we'll build 2. You can see here the first ship of the class generates extra one-time startup costs, but it's only 190,000, so that's okay. And then we'll go ahead and hit OK there. So we're building 2 destroyers now here. It's only going to take 10 months as well. They'll be complete before too long. And then I'm going to start building some battleships here in 3 turns once our docks expand. So we'll go ahead and also you'll notice toward the end of the last video, because of the Naval Arms Agreement, tensions did drop with some countries. So that was a positive turn of events. But we'll go ahead and we'll jump ahead to the next turn. Another round of fighting is broken out among several Balkan nations. What is your view? It's deplorable. It seems impossible to stop the fighting in this region. That'll increase tensions. I wonder why they serve what they're serving for dinner at the flag officer's mess. So that would give us one more tension. Or we can say that it's no doubt the meddling of someone, but it'll only increase tension with the nation that we pick, as opposed to increasing tensions all around. So I think what we're going to do is I think the best nation for us to pick on would probably be either Italy or France, based on the current tension levels, or Germany. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick we only get 3 choices. We only get Great Britain, Russia, or the USA. Oh, those are not the 3 nations I wanted to pick. Well, we do have territorial designs on Russia, and of the 3, they also have the lowest amount of tensions right now. So their tension levels is currently 3, I believe. So we'll go ahead and pick Russia, and you can see there the tensions jump up just on Russia. No one else is affected. So our tensions with Russia jump up to 5, and that's where we're at now. So again, we're 2 months away from our docks being upgraded. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump ahead. So the U.S. is designing some new cruiser classes, and just in general, some other ships are being completed. We're going to jump ahead 1 more turn. And our new docks are completed. We also have one of our battleships finished working up. The U.S. government is offering us to sell the rights to power rammers for $4.3 million. We have $16 million in the bank, and I don't see why we wouldn't get them, especially considering we're going to go ahead and we're going to build a new class of ships soon. So power rammers, gradual national rate of fire improvement. So it helps our rate of fire. It's another turret thing. And we also had a research breakthrough in machinery development, cockburn safety valve. So again, 1% weight savings on machinery. So that's another good time to have some weight savings. And our dock size is now up to 15,000 tons, which I don't see the need to go ahead and expand it further at the moment because the naval treaty is going to be in place for so long that 15,000 is the largest we can build. We might actually be able to cheat a little bit and push it to 16.5, but as it is, we'll abide by the rules of the treaty right now. We've got about 900,000 spare cash kind of in that we can use per turn, so we'll probably drop into the red, but with 13 million in the bank, I would say that's perfectly fine to go ahead and do that. What we're going to go ahead and do here is we're actually going to go ahead and design a battleship, as I said, because if we look at the almanac here, we're falling behind. We're already way behind in terms of battleships, but we're falling much more so behind, with Italy, the U.S., Russia all having more than 4 battleships under construction, and those being some of the more likely nations I think we would fight, especially Russia. So what we'll go ahead and do is we're going to design a new ship, and we're going to go ahead and design a battleship class. We're going to design at a local yard, and we'll just, for the sake of getting things in place real quick, we'll go ahead and set it to auto design. So we'll go ahead and do that. You can see here it's deciding to throw 9-inch guns on our main turrets, which seems a little bit odd. Now the problem with our 10-inch guns is the quality isn't quite as good. So you can see it's a -1 quality versus our 9-inch guns, which are higher quality guns. They're better guns, but they're only 9 inches. So I guess if we take a look, when we flip back and forth, there is an option in here somewhere, gun data. So if we choose the 10-inch guns, we can see the max range is 9,800 yards, and then the penetration along the side deck armor at 5,000 yards is 4.3 inches, 8,000 yards is 3.6 side armor, so if it hits straight on the side, as opposed to deck armor with like plunging shot. So that's not great penetration figures, really, to be honest. So remember, 4.3 and 3.6 with 10-inch guns. If we drop it down to 9, let's see how the gun data performs. Actually, I think it's it's got longer range than the 10-inch guns. And 4.7 and 3.9. Yeah, and it even penetrates armor better. So actually, I think we are going to go with a 9-inch gun design. Now, what we are actually going to do is we are going to base our design loosely on the Wittelsbach class battleship, which was a German design of the late 1800s. Actually, they were laid down between 1899 and 1900 because the Germans tended to adopt smaller main caliber weapons on their battleship. They had high velocity 9-inch guns, 9.4 inches, rather than the traditional 12-inch guns, and that actually suits me just fine because it fits in better with the limitations that we have under the current treaty. I am going to make it a little bit bigger. The Wittelsbach was only around 12,500 tons. We're going to set this to the max of the treaty and the max of our dockyards and set them to 15,000 tons. So we'll see what kind of performance we can get out of the ship that way. Now, the German ships also tended to be more heavily armored. So we're going to go ahead and we'll take a look, and let me see here. I don't know why I'm looking through Conway's Warships of the World, and it doesn't give me the armor displacement for the Wittelsbach. So the Kaiser, it does. It tells me the belt armor is 12 inches, and again, I'm not sure we're going to be able to do all this, but we'll say the belt armor is 12 inches. The deck armor is 2.5 inches. And ammunition hoists and whatnot are 10, so I'd say that goes with like the turrets as well. So that puts us about 1,000 tons overweight if we're traveling at 18 knots. I'll probably drop the conning tower down to 10. I really don't feel the need to have torpedo tubes on a battleship, even though it was common at the time. I'm going to take that all out. That'll save us some weight. Using the 9-inch guns also saves us some weight. The secondary guns are 8-inch guns by this design. So let's see if we can put them in double turrets as well. I don't know if it'll ship a seriously overweight building nations not develop secondary turrets for guns heavier than 6 inches. Shucks. I'd really like to have them in turrets. Hmm. 40% rate of fire penalty? Yikes. Secondary guns reduced by 40% due to lack of suitable training and elevation gear for secondary turrets. Well, that sucks. It does get us within the weight limitation if we drop them to 6-inch guns, and but putting them in turrets, maybe if we switch them to singles, do we like accurate training and elevation gear for secondary turrets? I'm just kind of fiddling around here, and that's one of the really neat things about this game, is just being able to kind of twiddle around with different designs and ideas and kind of just see how things pan out. I like the idea of a 8-inch second. Hey. Oh, we did design an 8-inch secondary gun, didn't we? So we can have 9-inch main guns, but we can have 8-inch secondaries all in turrets as well. And the only penalty here is that the ship is overweight by 200 tons. So we need to find 200 tons that we can save. We can probably just drop the main armor down to 11 inches. And yep, there you go. That does it. So we dropped the main armor down to 11 inches. We've got the belt extended at 4. The deck armor 2.5. Deck extended 1.5. Conning towers 10. Turrets are 10. Top turrets are 2.5. And secondaries are 6 inches. That's pretty darn good armor on these secondary guns. The secondary guns are also 8-inch guns, so those secondary guns are just as powerful as the cruisers, the heavy cruisers that we've designed, and just barely less powerful than the 9-inch guns. We do have a little bit of extra weight, so I think I'm going to throw on some extra shells, because since we are using 9-inch guns, they are going to fire at a more rapid rate of fire, so having a little bit of extra ammo on board would be useful. So we'll go with 130 rounds. It only gives us about 4 tons left over. We'll leave the range at medium, set it to the max, 1,500 tons, or 15,000 tons. And I wonder, I guess we can just go with the Mikasa as far as the recommended class name. I was kind of throwing around the idea of making it faster. I really like the idea of like a fast battleship, but I don't know if that's practical at this point in time. So I guess we'll just leave it at the 15,000 tons. We'll leave it at 18 knots speed. That'll basically put it in line with our other battleships, just a little bit weaker main guns. But the secondaries, that's a powerful battery of 10 8-inch guns all in turrets. So that's an okay design. We'll go ahead and we'll save it. And it brings us into the build dialogue. So if we actually look at the Mikasa ship, it's $50 million. So that ship, it's a more modern ship. It's slightly smaller than the Shakusima. It's actually a little bit cheaper, probably because it's 800 tons lighter and the main guns are smaller. But we can build it domestically, so it's going to be the first battleship that we can build in Japan. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to go ahead and build this in Japan, exactly 15,000 tons. We'll go ahead and we really only have enough money to build one right away, but that's what we're going to go ahead and do. First ship of the class generates additional costs, $3.6 million for basically R&D, so we'll go ahead and do that. You can see here our monthly balance has taken a hit, and our funds are down to $9.7 million, but that's more than enough to get us through to at least when these destroyers will complete and help improve our budget situation. So we've got one more battleship under construction now. That's going to bring us up to 6. We're still trailing everyone else, but I think the Mikasa class is going to be a pretty ferocious class to deal with, given the different limitations that we have placed on us right now by the arms treaties. So go ahead and we'll jump ahead. It's now 1902, by the way. The U.S. government is offering to sell us the rights to hardened AP penetrator for $4.6 million. Again, the U.S. is trying to sell us different inventions for our artillery shells that'll help us get better artillery shells, which will allow us to penetrate better armor. That would definitely be a big advantage. The one concern is that it would take about half of our remaining funds, and where we're at right now with our construction, I don't think we can really do that. I'd like to buy them, but I think we're going to have to pass for now. So you can see here as we go into February of 1902, we've got a little bit more money to play with. It looks like our naval budget has increased a bit, but again, we're still in the red. And we've got some ships here. Now, also one other thing to keep in mind, the Mikasa is going to take like 6 months more to make because we're making it in Japan than some of the ships that we built overseas. And that has to do with the fact that Japan has an undeveloped or underdeveloped naval industry, which means that ships do construct there slowly. But at least if there is a war, no one can seize that ship since it's in Japanese home waters. One of our agents seems to have been caught in Germany. So Germany we've got good relations with, but I'd like to get positive prestige because that's really the goal of this game, is to get more prestige. So we'll go ahead and do that. You can see the tensions bumped up a bit with Germany, but they were already really low to begin with. And then we also had a research breakthrough on explosive shells. And then I think we're almost done. We've got a couple of ships that'll be constructed in a couple of months. Another research breakthrough on rangefinders. And we've also researched 11-inch guns. Too bad we can't use them. I'd like to make our 10-inch guns better. I don't think that's something that we can do. Yeah, it doesn't seem to let us choose to increase the quality of our guns. I don't know if that would be... I'm not sure. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and we'll bump ahead another turn. The British government's offering to sell us the rights to 7-inch guns of a quality of 0 for $4.1 million. Our current 7-inch guns have a negative quality of 1, but I don't envision building too many 7-inch guns right now. So I think our current guns will serve us well. And our scientists are hitting some technical difficulties with some research on AP shells. Major Shipyard is short on orders and offering to build us another unit of the Mikasa class in 29 months at a 10% discount on the total cost. I think we're going to do that. We're not too much in the red. That'll put us pretty substantially into the red. Oh, well, this is different. Italy has proposed a 5-year security arrangement between our nations. What's your advice on how to respond? We should enter such an agreement. This can benefit us. Lower budget, also lower tensions. We should seek broader arrangements to take the interest of all nations into account. Also lower tensions and budget. And we should avoid entanglements. That'll increase tension, but it'll give us more money. I really don't want to lower our budget right now. Things are kind of dicey as is, so we'll just take the increased tensions with Italy since our relations with them are actually pretty good to begin with. We're gonna be angry with everybody soon. Okay. So now we're to negative 1.1 million. We did just finish some. Oh, no, those destroyers aren't quite done yet. So we are 8 months away from being in some serious budget problems, but we've also got a cruiser that'll be done in that period of time and get us back into the black. So we now have 2 battleships under construction, and interestingly enough, that second battleship will build a little bit quicker and cheaper because of that special event that we got to trigger. So we have 2 battleships under construction now, which puts us on par with France. We'll have 7 when we're done, which still puts us substantially behind pretty much everybody else. Heavy cruisers are okay. Light cruisers, we're falling behind, but we're not in terrible shape. Destroyers have actually fallen behind from our early advantage. It doesn't look like anyone's built anything else, although Germany has some minesweepers that they're building, so some countries are starting to develop minesweepers as well. And another research breakthrough. Again, these breakthroughs are coming in fast and furious. So we just got additional dock size, although that doesn't really benefit us at the moment. And a spy from the U.S. has been discovered. What do we do? Handle it discreetly. Nothing happens. Maximum publicity gives us more money, but increases tensions. Maximum publicity. There you go. Getting tensions up there. But it does give us more money, which again, budget is critical. British government's offering to sell us medium wing turrets for 4.2 million. Yes, I like the idea of having medium wing turrets. I'm not sure if that just... I wonder if that's for heavy guns. Secondary wing turrets of up to 10-inch caliber. Okay, so basically kind of the Semi-Dreadnought ability to have much bigger guns on your wings. I wonder if we can have 10-inch main gun or 9-inch main guns and 10-inch secondaries. That'd be kind of funny. And you can see here we're into September of 1902. One of our agents was caught in Germany. Prestige, deny involvement. Prestige goes down. Make him a hero. Prestige goes up. So do tensions. Tensions also went up with Italy. I wonder if Germany and Italy are allied, like they were historically anyway. So you can see our tensions are creeping up with everybody. Italian government's offering to sell us 12-inch guns. Well, we don't really need that because we can't build 12-inch guns anyway, so I'm not going to spend the money on that. Again, I feel like we're falling way behind in terms of warship construction, but I just don't have a whole lot of money to play with. I could scrap or mothball some older ships. We are starting to get to that point where, because of different technological developments, those ships are actually legitimately starting to become out of date, but I don't want to quite do that yet. Still, I've never really tried to design and build my own fleet, so I may not be doing great to begin with. There we go. So we're into January of 1903. So we have designed a new warship, the Mikasa class. And again, it's almost an early semi-dreadnought, except for the main caliber guns are very weak at 9 inches. But 10 or 8-inch secondary batteries are pretty exciting. Also, the fact that we've got 14 guns of 8 inches or larger makes that a very dangerous ship indeed, with some very strong belt armor at 11 inches. This is a fierce ship. The displacement limits do restrict certain things, but they also, because you have a limit on the size of the guns you can place, you have more tonnage to play with other things like armor, so you can kind of make your ship more formidable. The one thing that I would say is kind of interesting is that if you got into an engagement with 2 batteries of 9 and 8-inch guns, trying to spot the difference in those shell splashes, because you fire to 2 miles, 3 miles, and then you kind of observe where the splashes of the shells hit to correct your fire and get on target. Well, one thing that was found out with some of these ships that had very heavy secondary armor armored guns, as 8 or 9 inch guns at long range were almost impossible to distinguish the shell splashes apart from main, 10, 11, or 12 inch guns. So you could actually run into problems trying to fight effectively that way, because you couldn't accurately target your guns. So you could kind of fire it off on a broadside, but you couldn't individually target each one of your turrets or each one of your guns. And that could be a problem when you're dealing with mixed caliber shells and trying to get everyone on target. But we're not at war now, so that's not as relevant. And I'm going to build a lot more Mikasas when I've got some money. But at the moment, we're into January of 1903, and that's how we're doing. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off here. We're 3 years into the game, 6 videos in. We've researched quite a few new technologies. We're even up to 3 on turrets and gun mountings. And we're getting to the point where we may want to start kind of entangling ourselves with other countries. The one concern, again, is the sheer size of some of our opponents. Now, the positive is that we are far, far away, so it's harder for those countries to bring their more superior forces to bear against us. For example, Germany only has a couple of cruisers in the Pacific. We actually have pretty high tensions with them. Great Britain has quite a substantial force, but France seemingly has a relatively weak force as well. So at least in that sense, we may have some opportunities, maybe with a war with Germany, maybe a war with Russia, although I'd like to try and avoid that. It does look like Russia doesn't have much in the way of ships deployed in the Pacific. They certainly have a lot in the Atlantic. So that'll be interesting. Either Russia or Germany, I would say, is our next target. But we've got to be careful, too, because we've started getting pretty high tensions with a bunch of different countries. France is the only country that seems to like us right now. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.